Hi everyone, it's Kelly here and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am recording the second in my series of books that is related to my reading challenge that I'm hosting this year, where we are reading a book from each of the broad classes of the Dewey Decimal System. So if you missed my first video in this series, I will be linking the playlist below in the description, and also the one video, one extra video that you would need to watch that I have already uploaded to my channel, and that is for the 0-hundreds class. Today we're talking the 100s class, and this broad category is all about philosophy and psychology. So I have some books to show you, and I'm also going to be referring to my trusty sidekick here, the Wikipedia page, which I will link below, that talks about the broad classes and then breaks them down into the sort of the 3-digit part, the before the decimal point part of the Dewey system. You'd think that I would script this to make it easier for myself, but I do not. I'm not a scripter. I'm a we just talk off the cuff here. Okay, I am planned though. I am prepared. So hopefully this will be a smooth running filming session today. Okay, let's have a look at this class. So we're talking class 100, which is philosophy and psychology. Now the 100s, so the first sort of 10 numbers within this class to do with philosophy. So 100 is philosophy and psychology, 101 theory of philosophy, 102 miscellany, whatever that means, 103 dictionaries and encyclopedias, presumably of philosophy, I would have thought. 104 is not currently used, 105 serial publications, 106 organizations and management, 107 education research related topics of philosophy, 108 groups of people, and 109 history and collected biography. So as you can see, they've sort of organized those numbers where they're going to be talking about things to do with philosophy, but sort of organized it into some sort of subsections there. I have no books to show you from this section, so let's move on. The 110 section, so this is about metaphysics. So here we are talking about, look, your guess is as good as mine. If you know about metaphysics and you want to talk about it in the comments, go off. I don't know anything much about metaphysics. The only thing that I can tell you is that I have one book to show you, and it is from 113. That is its call number, and it is Sacred Nature: How We Can Recover Our Bond with the Natural World by Karen Armstrong. Now, I picked this one up at a library that I was visiting and brought it to show you because Karen Armstrong is an author I have read from in the past and really enjoyed. She writes a lot of things about the history of religion and various other sort of aspects of religion. This was interesting to me that I didn't know that she had published this book about nature, but I guess she's talking about it, I would imagine, in similar ways to the ways that she talks about religion. So that should be an interesting read. So that's 113. And its section is called Cosmology, and in brackets, Philosophy of Nature. So there you go. So yeah, metaphysics is kind of our broad category there for the 110s. Then we move on to 120. So this is epistemology. Did I say that right? I don't know. And I do have some books to show you from this section. So I have 2 books here. This one I thought, just from the title alone, I had to pick it up. It's called Feline Philosophy: Cats and the Meaning of Life by John Gray, and its call number is 128. And this is the section 128 is humankind, is what it's kind of is called there. So I just love the image on the front cover of the cat in the thinker pose. Love it, love it. We are a cat household at this channel. So if you're not a cat person, I'm ever so sorry, but we are definitely cat people here. So yeah, thought this one was a great title. The other one that I picked up in this section is 128.6, and it's a book by Ruth Ozeki called Timecode of a Face. So this is in that same section about humankind. Let me stop and tell you a little bit about this book, because we all know Ruth Ozeki was the winner of the Women's Prize in 2022, and this is a non-fiction work from her. And it says on the back, what did your face look like before your parents were born? Wow. Who are you? What is your true self? These are the questions in Ruth Ozeki's mind as she challenges herself to spend 3 hours gazing into her own reflection, recording every thought and detail. What follows are a lifetime's worth of meditations on race, aging, family, death, the body, self-doubt, and finally, acceptance. In this profound encounter with memory and the mirror, Ozeki weaves together personal history, professional experience, Zen philosophy, Japanese culture, and more to paint a rich, intimate, and utterly unique portrait of a life as told through a face. So, sounds super interesting. Not something that I'd ever heard of before, but as we know, Ruth Ozeki is a great writer, so this should be an interesting book if you were looking for something in this section. Okay, moving on. So, on to 130. So this is parapsychology and occultism. I have a couple of books to show you in this section because we are talking here about like interpreting dreams and witchcraft and like ghosts and other interesting sort of things there. So let's go through what I've picked up from the library. So none of the books I've shown you so far are from my collection, but these ones are also from the library that I went to. So this one's called 100 Tales from Australia's Most Haunted Places by Ben Pobjie, I think is how you would pronounce that surname. I'm sorry if it's wrong. I'm not much of a ghost person myself, but I thought I would mention it because I know that lots of people love reading about ghosts. So this is something that might be of interest to you. So its call number is 133.1. So one to look out for, especially if you're an Australian, this particular title, but ghost books in general would fall here. Another one that I have is 133.3244. 133 specific topics in parapsychology. So same general area as the previous. This is called Teacup Reading by Sasha Fenton. So this is all about how to read tea leaves, which I thought some people might find interesting. And another book that I have actually heard of before and was interested in and was fascinated and excited to find out that the library had a copy is a book that comes in with the call number 133.43, and this is A Spell in the Wild by Alice Tarbuck, a year and 6 centuries of magic, which has, let's face it, a beautiful front cover. So this is a witchcraft book, and it's to do with it goes through sort of like the history of witchcraft, but also talking about like modern witchcraft and things like that. So interesting book if that's your area of interest. Okay, so that's sort of the kinds of things that you might look at in the 130s. The 140s, we are looking at philosophical schools of thought. I don't have any books to show you, but you've got things like specific philosophical schools and viewpoints. Idealism and related systems and doctrines is 141. 142, critical philosophy. 143, Bergsonism. I don't know what that is. And intuitionism. Now, 144 is humanism and related systems and doctrines. 145, sensationalism, whatever that may be. 146 is naturalism and related systems and doctrines. 147 is pantheism and related systems and doctrines. 148 is dogmatism, eclecticism, liberalism, syncretism and traditionalism, and 149 is other philosophical systems and doctrines. So if there's books that you've got in your collection about any of those topics, this is the perfect time to pick one of them up. 150, I do have a couple of books to show you from this section. Actually, I've got quite a few books to show you from this section. So let's go through the different things. So this is the 150s is psychology. So this is the sort of psychology side of this broader 100 section. So 150 itself is psychology. 151 is no longer used. 152, sensory perception, movement, emotions, and physiological drives. I have one book to show you from this one, and that is Bittersweet by Susan Cain. If you have ever read Susan Cain's book Quiet, and if you're an introvert, I very highly suggest that you do. It's a brilliant read and really, really good. So this is her most recent book that's come out, and it's about sorrow and longing, and how that can make us whole. And its call number is 152.4. So then 153, just looking across to what I got here, I've got two books to show you here. So this is about conscious mental processes and intelligence. So I've got Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, of course. This is her book about creative living beyond fear. So it's a book about creativity. So I guess that kind of links in with that topic being, you know, you're consciously trying to be a creative person. Then I've got to stop putting the books on the table where I've got my where I've got the camera set up. I'm going to move that off to the side. The other one that I have, so that's actually in my collection. I picked it up recently secondhand. And then we've got Six Thinking Hats by Edward de Bono, which I've had in my collection for a little bit. It's at 153.42. So this is to do, again, with consciously thinking about your thinking. 154 is about the subconscious and altered states and processes. I don't have anything to show you there. 155, I do. I've got two books to show you. So the first one, and the topic is differential and developmental psychology. So the first one I'm going to show you is The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. I recently hauled this one, I think in January, and its call number is 155.2. So this is all about, the byline is the indispensable personality profiles that reveal how to make your life better and other people's lives better too. So make of that as you will. And then I picked this one up from the library just because I was drawn to the spine, and then saw what it was about. And it's called The Little Book of Color, How to Use the Psychology of Color to Transform Your Life by Karen Haller. Its call number is 155.911. So this is just a book about the psychology of color theory, I guess. So some really interesting ones there. 156, I don't have anything to show you there. No, I've only got 158s to show you. So 156 is comparative psychology. 157 isn't used anymore. 158 is applied psychology. So I've got three books here, two from my collection and one from the library. So the first one at call number 158 is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. So super, super interesting book by Brené Brown, who is a fabulous author, as we know, and speaker. Another one from my collection is Think Like an Artist by Gompertz. It's Think Like an Artist and Lead a More Creative, Productive Life. Oh, sorry, and its call number is 158.1. And one that I found at the library with the call number 158.1 as well is The Art of Arranging Yourself in the World, Cozy, by Isabel Gillies. And it's shiny. So that's always fun. I love a shiny book. Okay, so that's the 150s. We're talking about psychology here. Then we move into 160. No books to show you, but this is philosophical logic is our broad category here, and this is to do with induction, deduction, fallacies, syllogisms, hypotheses, argument and persuasion, and analogy. Then we move into 170, and I've got two books to show you from the library. So they're both from 177. So let's look at some of the other things first. So this is the ethics section. So we talk about things like ethical systems, political ethics, ethics of family relationships, occupational ethics, ethics of recreation, leisure, public performances, communication, ethics of sex and reproduction. And then 177 is the ethics of social relations. And a book that I picked up here from the library is called My Guest, Reflections on Food, Community and the Meaning of Generosity by Priya Basil. So this is all about how food and sort of like the ethics around sharing food and, eating food with people, breaking bread, I guess. So that sounded really interesting. It's also gorgeous. That yellow color is so vibrant and that pattern is just beautiful. And then I also found this one by Jacinda Ardern, I Know This to Be True. And the byline is On Kindness, Empathy and Strength. Jacinda Ardern, the sadly recently retired Prime Minister of New Zealand, who is just a all-round fabulous human. So yes, I didn't realize she had written a book, but she has, and its call number is 177.7. Okay. Also, we've got ethics of consumption and other ethical norms in that section as well. Then we move into 180, and I've got one book to show you here from 181. So this is to do with ancient, medieval and Eastern philosophy. So let's leave aside the potentially problematic language of calling it Eastern philosophy. But anyway, I don't know. Is it problematic? In my head it is, but I don't know. I guess it's that sort of like Western Eastern division of things. But anyway, we're talking about presumably mostly Asian philosophy here. So this is we've got 180 is ancient, medieval, Eastern philosophy. 181 is Eastern philosophy, and I have a book here that I found at the library that sounded really interesting to me. So this is The Stories Behind the Poses, the Indian mythology that inspired 50 yoga postures by Dr. Raj Balkaran, illustrated by Devika Menon. And this just looks like a gorgeous book, and I will flick to one of the illustrations because they are really cool, I think. So there's the crescent moon pose with a fabulous illustration of somebody, well, not a person, I don't think, doing the crescent moon pose. And then it just goes into like how that pose came about and like the philosophy behind it. So that one sounded super, super interesting. We also have 182 is pre-Socratic Greek philosophies. Then we move into sophistic, Socratic and related Greek philosophies, Platonic philosophy, Aristotelian philosophy, skeptic and Neoplatonic philosophies, Epicurean philosophy, Stoic philosophy, and medieval Western philosophy. Then 190, that was the last book I've got to show you, but I'll tell you what's in the 190. This is modern Western philosophy. So we've got things like, and this is basically just organized by region or country, mostly countries, and then it's just like other. So we've got 191, philosophy of the US and Canada. 192 is philosophy of the British Isles. 193 is philosophy of Germany and Austria. 194 is philosophy of France, 195 is philosophy of Italy, 196 is philosophy of Spain and Portugal, 197 is philosophy of Russia, 198 is philosophy of Scandinavia and Finland, and then of course 199 is philosophy in other geographic areas. Look, this is one of those sections of Dewey that shows that it was created in a very specific time and place, very Eurocentric world, and the way that the categories are organized means that, if you're in another region of the world, like I am in Australia, like all of our Australian stuff is like all crammed into one section that whereas, you know, Europe is kind of divided into sections. Anyway, it is what it is. It's certainly a system that was created not in our modern day and modern world. Anyway, that is the 100s, the class 100, and I hope that I've given you a little bit of inspiration for this class. I'd love to know what you are going to be reading for this class if you're joining us for the challenge. We are still in February, so it is certainly not too late to join us, even though you've missed that first little bit of the year. We've still got the rest of the year to go, so I will leave the link in the description below to the challenge in case you're interested in joining us. The challenge is on the story graph, so if you're not already signed up there, you should. It's fabulous. It's a great place for you to track and kind of get stats on the types of books that you're reading and like how broadly you're reading. It's a fabulous platform, and I highly recommend it. Not sponsored, but yeah, that's just my recommendation because I love the story graph. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll join me on the next one, and until then, bye.